welcome. Thank you so much. So I have lots of thank yous. Thank you to the biological station. Everybody's so warm and kind, and I feel like I've been learning so much stuff that it's going to 100% feed the next few years of making stuff for me. It's the time at the residency is just a little blip. I already know it because I'm just getting an opportunity to go on field trips, hear about what the scientists are doing, learn about all the research that's happening, not all of it, like a little bit of it. And I don't understand really any of it, but then I'm collecting information and sort of sifting through it. I think that's a theme that you might find as I am a collector of stuff. And just thank you so much for being so welcoming. Thank you, Open Air. Wow, this is a really unique residency. I don't really know much. I don't know other residencies quite like this, where it's kind of across the state and all these places that have different residencies and throughout the year. And so I'm really thankful for everybody who's been so kind. And then, oh, my cohort, my wonderful cohort. I'm not going to cry. They are so wonderful. We've had so many nice meals and talks and sitting in the swimming beach. And they've actually started collecting stuff for me too, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so thank you. I know that this is a lifelong friendship now, so I'm excited about that. And then finally, I want to thank my wife and daughter who are so supportive of all the stuff that we do. I do. Met Rachel in art school 1,000 years ago, and we always collaborate. And so she's the first person that gives me feedback. And yeah. So, where to start? I would love to encourage as many of you to come in this space, because I have a bunch of these instruments on the table that I've been working on, and it might be difficult to see. If you don't feel comfortable, that's totally fine. Feel free to bring a chair or sit on the floor. Your choice. I'll move around. So, I thought I would share some sounds more just sort of casually. And most of these things have been worked on in these past 3 weeks here. This one was just strung up about 5 a.m. I'm trying to get it done to show y'all. And it's what's called a baritone ukulele, and so it's the biggest of ukuleles. The next step up would be a guitar, and so it is all from collected wood. Mentioned that I split my time between Iowa, where I work, and New York, where I grew up, and my family is full time. I can tell you where all these parts of wood came from. So this is orange osage, this fretboard, and that was from a block away from our house in Iowa City. And this is maple, the sides and in the back, and this was from the house across the street from us. There was a derecho in Iowa in 2021, maybe? 21, yeah. A derecho is a land hurricane, a wall, just wiped out like 7 million trees in Iowa. There's not really many trees in Iowa, so that was really pretty intense. And so I then learned about milling wood at that time, so I started collecting it. My uncle happens to be, I guess one of my heroes, and he's a lumberjack, just a very small scale in upstate New York. And so this piece of walnut came from a tree that he found, as was this this piece of, what is it? It's in the walnut family. I'll remember it. Woke up too early. And so I like to play around with a lot of inlay, as you'll see in here. There's fret markers that are cherry within here, and then some detailed stuff. And I like to play with adding some non-traditional elements. I was learning previously about these little microorganisms called foraminifera. And so I brought this here in parts and started working on it, putting it together. But I started thinking about those microorganisms, foraminifera, back in New York, and was borrowing some of the features, some of the textures of the surface. And I have these little holes here. There's actually a print inside that I drew, and I want to encourage you to come take a look at it eventually.
Oh, wow.
Inside there.
Thank you.
So I often have this little extra light coming in through the sound, the side sound hole. But if you notice, the sound hole on the side, it sends sound that way too.
Cool.
So, so there's other woods in here. There's this actually cherry banding around. I got this cherry wood from a gentleman named Edward Coptic, who is actually a 96-year-old harpsichord builder. And in his retirement, he sort of stopped making, and he gave me a lot of his old wood. And I made it. He's a remarkable craftsperson and maker, and I decided that I'll always have just a little bit of the wood in every instrument that I make from him. So it's not done, but this was strung up this morning, so I like to sometimes show the most recent thing. A lot of things you'll see here were just casually found, like this beautiful piece of driftwood that I found on the beach, and man, I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but then I took it and had it in my cabin for a few days, and then thought, oh yeah, let's string it up and see what we can do. And I tuned it, and it has its own sort of sound. I thought maybe I'll go through some of these instruments and just show you how they sound, and then I'll do a little performance of all of them together. Does that sound nice? Okay.
Great.
Okay. So let's turn on some sound. So it can be plucked, and it can be bowed. So I'm using a looping pedal here. So something really important I forgot to mention is within our first few days here, we got to go with Phil, who is a researcher here, and he took us up to the Nyack and taught us some things that may be really specific, but also might be really basic knowledge about rivers that I never knew, and the fact that how much rivers are underground. And that sort of fascinated me, all of us really, I think. And so I started working on this inlay of some found woods on the back of this guy. And it kind of is referencing loosely that some of the pictures I see from Rachel's talk a few weeks ago, and then also some of the images in the hallway still working into it, but just this subtle sort of thing. This line going through is actually a piece of driftwood itself.
Wow.
So, talking about that area, the Nyack, because I like 10 step, I'm gonna crush my outside. So I found this piece of fur, I believe, and oh, it's so cool. It was we were all collecting rocks, and you know, back east there's this problem. I don't know. I haven't really seen too many ash trees here, but back east there's ash trees that we're losing a lot of our ash trees. It's made it to the Midwest, so it's basically the emerald ash borer is actually attacking all the ash trees, and so they're not making it. But here I learned about the fur engraving beetle, which is not. It's not the same thing because it's not necessarily invasive. Forgive if I don't use the right language here. But because from what I understand, the fur engraving beetle, which is a printmaking term by the way, it actually, it may go after fir trees that are actually under stress or dying. So that's fascinating. And so if you look, at all these this little map that so I found this piece of wood. I wasn't sure what it was at first, but after some research learned that it was fir, and fir is like definitely a stronger softwood of softwoods, so it has like a certain density. And it has a string on it, and it also has these sort of ridges knocked out of it. So let's just hear how it sounds. So that stick came from the Nyack, and didn't know what I was going to do with it until it just sort of kind of spending time with it and making decisions slowly. So show you a couple other things. We are right on time. Okay. Here's a little plunker. shown up in this time has been more fir. I found a rather large board that I cut up in planes that was out on the beach. And it's like a 2 by 6 by 8 maybe. I was just like, I want to be jackpot here. And it was all quarter sawn. Quarter sawn being, when you look at the wood, all the lines are this way. And that's exactly actually what you need for a musical instrument. So it basically is more stable when, you know, as opposed to when the wood looks like this, say, right? This is just you quarter the tree and then you're taking little strips of it. I could talk to you about that stuff for hours. It's awesome. But I'll be bringing some of this board home. I think I got to throw out some clothes and pack it in my suitcase. And, yeah. But so I have quite a bit of this wood, and I'm pretty excited to play around with making sides and that, because, like I said, the fir is a little bit harder. Oftentimes, for like the body of a guitar or whatever, you want it to be a little harder just because of the sound. There's different sound features for each wood, but really, even superficially, dings and stuff. You know, it really hurts when you spent all these hours on this instrument and you have a little ding like that, right there. And I just, it like looks at me. So this little instrument is called an arbitron, and it's actually not of my invention, but it is maybe came from New Guinea, and then also a Frenchman kind of developed the process a little bit, and I've been playing with this quite a bit with the fir, and it works out really well. The stickiness of the sap that's still in there actually helps with that friction. I put a little extra rosin on it, that what you put on a bow, and I wanted to just kind of make a doot doot doot. So, and I made another one, and I'm thinking about Olivia. And that sounds like the screech owls. But, yeah. So, let's see how this one sounds. This is an experiment that is still moving, and yeah, so it's actually another piece of fir that has this fir engraving beetle on it, and really, there's so much kind of wood out there. It was just coincidental. Really, at first, I was just like, oh yeah, okay, that's got some good tone. That's what kind of brought me to it at first. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Fascinated. Maybe you could explain what you're doing electronically.
Sure, yeah. This is basically just a looping pedal, and it's just it records a line. Yeah. I'm really interested in the materials and the magic of what they do. You know, there's effects pedals and things on the computer where you can take any sound and turn it into something else. I want to celebrate the material itself, you know, so keeping it as simple as possible. I allow myself to use the loop pedal so I can set up a sort of a band. Right? But really I want it to be about the strings, the resonance of the wood, and the discovery of what is found, as opposed to high processing. So. So this is an instrument that I've been working on for a few years, and there's different, this is I think number 4, and maybe there's about 7 right now. This is the one that can travel well. So yeah, so we got hickory, we got walnut, more orange osage, and that's pretty much all of it there. There's some printing, some etched plates, some steel. This actually helps ground the electronics. And this is a pickup that I hand wound, so it's basically a printing plate, copper, magnets, and some nails. And so it has a real, I think, sort of nautical vibe to it. So I'm going to play a little bit here with it. Okay, yeah. Might give a little.
Thank you.